You're filling out in your hands. Where's the back table? See Megan in the back table over there has mic forms. If you have a question that you want to submit for the program, please see Megan. Megan will get it to Donna. We'll read it off. The way Mayor's Night works is we try to stay on topic. So if the topic is about the floodplain, we'll read your question about the floodplain, and then we'll try to follow it up. If you have a question about a floodplain, raise your hand. Donna will come to you. All right? We're taping this. Is it live today, Jake?
No.
Not live. We couldn't make the internet connection, but it is being taped. It will be posted on GoHammond.tv. If you have access to internet and a reasonably fast modem, you will be able to watch it on your computer. GoHammond.tv. So thanks a lot. I'm going to introduce the department heads for the city of Hammond. Who has the microphone? There you go, Donna. Got her running already. Not bad.
Hi, Alexis Barber, City. Can you hear me now? No. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, Alexis Barber with United Neighborhoods Inc.
Maria Becerra, Housing Authority.
Phil Talon, Planning and Development.
Beth Jacobson, Economic Development.
Chris Sacalaris, Legal Aid.
Bob Lindy, City Controller.
Courtney Sassoon, College Bound.
Sharon Daniels, Personnel.
Jeff Smith, Fire Department.
Milo Krasinski, Port Authority.
Tom Deverton, Chief of Staff. You know, we have some more room up here, folks. We got a few we're missing over there.
6th District Councilman Chico Hinojosa.
City Engineer Stan Destani.
Siavash Beg with Christopher Brook Engineering.
Don Novak, I'm the Zoning and Real Estate Manager and the Floodplain Administrator for the city.
Ron Novak, Environmental.
Brian Poland, City Planning.
Kurt Cook, Building.
Jim Callahan, Inspection Department.
Kathy Kasperzak, Recycling.
Owana Miller, Community Development.
Pat McGowan, Street Department.
Johnny Perez, Sanitation.
And Pat Moore, Park Department.
Scott Mitchell, Sanitary District.
Mark Bordish, Engineering.
John Amuna, Hammond Parks and Recreation.
And we got a table over here. I got my police chief, Brian Miller. We got Chris Cantor, city attorney. We got the head of the water department, Ed Cruza. And we have Chris Campbell, the head of the IT department. All right, so that's them. So we got everybody here to answer your questions. So Donna has the questions. I'd like to thank Councilman Chico Hinojosa, our host tonight, and give him an opportunity. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you, Mayor, and welcome everybody to Morton's High School in the 6th District. Just in case you don't know what the 6th District is, the 6th District is from Klein Avenue to Kennedy Avenue, from Gibson Park, or actually from Michigan Avenue, all the way to 173rd, and then I have a tail end, which is east of Grand Avenue, going all the way to 8094 into the street that goes to Black Oak. A couple of things have been happening, and I would say in the past 7 or 8 months. There's been at least 13 SWAT raids in the Hessville area. Like I said, Hessville is from Kennedy to Klein Avenue, but I still consider the other side of Kennedy Avenue, which is the 3rd District and the 5th District, as Hessville. So a lot of the money that winds up being like a little bit over $200,000 a year that I put up towards police overtime, not only just for the squads, but also for the narcotics unit and the gang units to do overtime and do surveillance on these drugs and gangs. But I have a sheet right here with about 13 addresses that were raided in the past, I would say the past 8 months. I'm just going to read the addresses real quick. Give the 6400 block of New Jersey, 6600 block of Alexander, 6700 block of Arkansas, 6900 block of Alabama, 7000 block of Alexander, 2700 block of 173rd, 7400 block of Marshall, 6100 block of Marshall, 3000 block of 165th, 3300 block of 163rd, 6800 block of New Jersey, 6600 block of Tennessee, 3500 block of 163rd, and arranged anywhere from gang paraphernalia, narcotics, stolen recovered items, narcotics, stolen firearms, shotguns. One of the raids, I believe, was A lot of cash was confiscated, 22 pounds of marijuana, and a lot of these suspects have been charged, already going to jail, or charges are pending. So this casino money is not my money, it's your money. And if I only spend the $50,000 that we spend for the Henry units to patrol the streets, you know, that, or I'll give you an example. If I'm spending $200,000 on all this police overtime, it could probably do a whole street in Hessville. But what good is it going to do to have a street in Hessville redone if you can't live in your district because of all these gangs? And of course, one of the big gangs was that gang that was on the 6700 block of Arkansas. One of the individuals ran against me, and he no longer lives in the city because we have a fantastic police department that wind them up. I guess they chased them out. They've done a fantastic job, so I'll have a round of applause. Thank you, Chief Brian Miller. I've been the councilman now for the past 8 years. I'm going into my next 4 years. I'm going to oppose in November, but I'm going to continue opposing, nothing against the ones that we have already, but I'm going to continue opposing bars, liquor stores, and more apartments. You want to try to open up apartments, I will give you due process. We do not want to get sued. Go ahead and try, but you know where my vote is. I think we have enough apartments in Hessville, and I'm going to continue being your councilman for the next 4 years, and I'll stick around for questions, and even after the meeting, if you want to talk to me personally, I'll stick around. Thank you.
I want to thank the councilman that came out also. It's always nice to have other elected officials in attendance. From Hammond's 4th District, Councilwoman Kim Poland, thank you very much. From Hammond's 5th District, nearby, Councilman Michael Pinker. Councilman at Large, Dan Spitali. Councilwoman at Large, Janet Nez. School Board Trustee, Cindy Murphy. My quick scan, I think I got them all. Did I miss any elected officials? All right, well, thank you very much for coming out. I appreciate it. I want to start off with some good news that we received the other day. So we're going to do sort of a press conference, even though there's no press here, but it is on Go Hammond TV. So as you all probably read in, I believe it was yesterday's newspaper, we received word from FEMA that 1,185 buildings from this part of the city were removed from the FEMA mandated floodplain. I wanted to read a little bit on behalf of that, and so if you'll please bear with me. We filed, the city of Hammond filed an application with FEMA back in November of 2008. Our documents that we submitted to FEMA were stacked over 3 feet tall when we submitted them. The approval was granted on our request for these changes to the floodplain in the FEMA letter that was sent to the city with the new maps as of Friday, August 26, 2011. So as of today, you are officially removed from the floodplain. This approval results in most property in this area that was classified in the Zone A 100-year floodplain to be reclassified to Zone B, a 500-year floodplain. Based on that best information we have today, 1,185 buildings were removed from Zone A. 83 buildings remain in Zone A. We couldn't get all of them out. Basically, if you're still in, it's pockets. 83 buildings are still remaining. I want you to know that we have not given up on you, but because of the extremely low elevation of your property, it's going to be a little tougher. For those of you that have been removed from the 100-year floodplain, you may now be eligible to take advantage of the preferred flood insurance rates will now be offered in your area. As you know, FEMA mandated flood insurance can cost up to $1,600 a year. If you have a mortgage, you have no choice. You must take that insurance. That is now no longer required. You may optionally take insurance like that, but it's now no longer required. We have experts up here. I'd like to point out Don Novak. Don, could you raise your hand? If you have questions about what you need to do and your next steps, I would recommend you hang out until after the meeting and approach Don, and he can give you some recommendations. Is that all right, Don? Okay. I want you to know that the city is currently preparing a list of properties that will receive the document, and we will be mailing it to you if you are in this affected area. We expect these documents to go out within the next 2 weeks. So within the next couple weeks, you'll receive a letter from us. It's a happy letter. It's a letter that says your property has been chosen by FEMA and approved by FEMA to be removed from the 100-year floodplain. For the property owners not removed from the 100-year floodplain area, we are not giving up on getting you removed. We have a great consultant. I'm going to introduce him to you in a couple minutes here. we've instructed CBOSH to begin an investigation on how to best resolve getting your properties removed from the 100-year floodplain as well. Basically, at this point, we hired CBOSH in 2008, CBOSH? 2006. But since we've hired CBOSH, we've been successful in getting parts of Goose Island, which is in the Robertsdale section of Hammond, out of the floodplain. We've gotten the majority of the water gardens out of the floodplain, outside of a few pockets. Now we've been successful in the southern end of the city, getting those of you that live east of Northcott out of the flood zone, outside of a few isolated pockets. That leaves a few areas. We have pockets in Robertsdale that are still in the floodplain. We have pockets east of Northcott that are still in the floodplain. Basically, it's around the FLP in that neighborhood over there. And then we have those of you that live east of Northcott. That's a couple thousand properties still in the floodplain, all right? I want you to know we have not given up on you, but what we've done is, with what we have, we've done the best we could. We got a number of people out of the flood zone, and that's a huge, we figured out over $1 million savings per year in the city of Hammond. So I want to introduce you to CBOSH Bake first. CBOSH, can you step up, please? It's not very often that we give out keys to the city, but when you save property owners in the city of Hammond $1 million annually, I think that's well deserving of a key to the city. So if you please stand by. This key to the city is hereby presented to CBOSH Bach in recognition of your efforts in removing homes and businesses from the floodplain in the city of Hammond, Indiana. Presented this 31st day of August 2011, Mayor Thomas McDermott. Let's go give him a big round of applause, please.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Really humbled, and this is absolutely unexpected. Doing my job, I think you have a great mayor and has directed me to do all these things, doing my job, and under supervision of Stan, the engineer, and Don Novak, and others in the city. And so I'm so glad to be part of this team. This is really a teamwork, and I think the honor and appreciation all yours, Mayor. And thanks so much.
This would not have occurred without relentless pursuit on behalf of the city as well. Don Novak, our zoning administrator, has been instrumental in pushing this issue for the better part of 6 years now. And I wanted to take a second to recognize Don as well. Don, can you please step forward? This key to the city, Don. How long have you been working for the city now, Don? 31 years working for the city of Hammond. Don Novak, this key to the city is hereby presented to you, Don Novak, in recognition of your efforts in removing thousands of homes and businesses from the floodplain in the city of Hammond, Indiana. Presented this 31st day of August 2011. Congratulations, Don.
What I would tell you is great is that the mayor is really behind helping the people that call and complain about being, burdened with the flood insurance in different parts of the city. He actually does care, and this is an actual result of that being, worried about what the people say to him and trying to help. So it's really my pleasure in order to help do this for people. Thank you.
We, earlier in administration, pre-Katrina, we applied to FEMA and we got Goose Island, which is around the Lost Marsh Golf Course, right? New York Avenue. We got Goose Island removed from the flood zone. I was only mayor a couple of years at this point, and I said, why doesn't everybody do this? This is easy. We hire a great guy. CBOSH used to work for FEMA, right?
No, DNR.
DNR, excuse me. FEMA, but CBOSH is he knows a lot of people. He has great contacts. We hire a great consultant. He opens the right doors. Boom. Hundreds of people out of the flood zone. And then we take another step, get more homes out of the flood zone. I'm thinking, this is easy. Why don't people do this all the time? This is my opinion. After Katrina, everything tightened up. Suddenly it was more important for a lot of people, it didn't matter what part of the country you're in, to pay into this flood insurance, and it got a lot harder to remove homes. So the fact that we got so many homes in Robertsdale and Goose Island and so many homes from South Hammond and Hessville out of the flood zone is an amazing thing, and it deserves 2 keys to the city. So congratulations, and thank you very much, guys. Anybody have any questions on flood zones, flood insurance? This would be a good time to ask them. I'm sure there's probably a few. So
We had one, sir, that was
Sure.
written. Ms. Hayes? Did you feel like that's been answered?
No.
well, why don't you go ahead and read it off now?
Is the flooding problem going to be addressed this year?
but I forgot to tell you where.
Okay.
On Kentucky.
Okay, so it's not so much flood zone, it's
No,
a
it
flood
has nothing to
unit.
do with flood zone.
Okay, what's happening?
Sorry.
It's okay, we can talk about it.
Okay, there's always flooding on the corner of Kenwood and Kentucky.
Kenwood in Kentucky?
Correct.
Okay.
We were wondering if that was going to be addressed this year. It's been happening for 30, 40 years now.
Okay, and city engineer, you've been in city engineer for 40 years, right? Been blowing this problem up. 4 decades. I see some
36 years
commonalities
now.
here. 36 years, Dan.
Yeah, we are working on that. I think if you look out there, you'll see there's been some test wells put in. Garcia Consulting, who's a consultant in the 6th District, has been working on a solution. I think we will have that solved within a short period of time.
Are all those arrows and everything meaning that you're going to tear the street up? Or what does it all mean?
We'll probably have to do some street reconstruction there. I think we're gonna end up, I haven't seen the ultimate plan, but I think we're gonna end up increasing the sewer size and making some changes there. So there probably will be some cuts in the street.
Thank you.
But not a total reconstruction of the whole
You're
intersection.
not going to go from Kenwood down to 69?
I don't think so.
Because that's where all those arrows are going.
Well, that's probably where there may be a segment of sewer running that direction.
Yes, ma'am?
I live right next, across the street from her, and this was a few years back, and I had come to one of the mayor's meetings and talked about this then. And, the water got pretty halfway up our front yard, on that one flooding.
The problem is that there's not enough sewer capacity there. You get a rain, you get all the runoff, it runs into the street. The sewer can't take it fast enough. I know when the first call came in on that, we thought, well, maybe it's just plugged up. Let's go out there, clean it with the vacuum truck, and then see what happens. But there's an issue there that there's not enough capacity in the sewer pipes.
But those are all slab homes, and the water comes in all the time. And it has. I've been there for 43 years, and it's happened the entire time.
What's actually come inside your house?
It comes in their homes.
Right up to it. It doesn't go in it, right?
Well, it's in their front doors.
A few of the people that are real close to that corner did, and I'm at 6326, and it got a little scary that time, and what I'm wondering with the changes you're gonna be making in the street, is it gonna go high? I think I'm
Well, that's
pretty
why we
high.
need to collect the water and then get it out of there quicker. That's the solution to the problem.
Do you know when this is going to be addressed?
I don't know for sure yet. It'll either be, depending if we run out of weather this
Yeah,
year,
that's
it might be first thing next spring.
That's technically the 3rd district, right, Councilman?
No, that's,
It is 6th. Okay.
that's 6th district, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if that was West.
Oh, so you are going to do something about it soon?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. But it sounds like the good news is, when questions like this are sometimes asked, we don't have answers immediately available, but it sounds as though not only is the engineer aware of it, but the councilman is aware of it as well. So I think that's good news in itself, and the fact that they're out there poking wells and measuring flows. So sounds like we're heading in the right direction, okay? We do these every month. If, a month from now, you're still having the same problems, I suggest you come back. And I say this often, squeaky wheel gets the grease. We're here every month, man. Next month we're going to be at St. John Bosco in the 4th District. It's not far away. That's fine too. That's fine. I recommend that actually. Okay, thank you. Questions about flood zones? Anybody? All right. Thank you very much. So again, one more time for Zivash, Don Novak, get us all out of flood zone. Donna, I see the Morton High School governors in the back.
Yes, I was going to introduce you some.
I'm sure they have homework to do. They just got done with football practice, so they probably want to get this over with pretty quickly, right?
This is Mr. Daniels. I'd like to say something.
I knew Brock Daniels when he was like 3 feet tall.
On behalf of the Morton football team and all that use the Morton football field, we'd like to thank you for the scoreboard. And we know you have a busy schedule, and we'd ask if you'd come to the game Friday in honor for the veterans, because we know you served in the Navy.
I should know this, and I appreciate it. That's very nice of you. Who are you guys playing Friday?
Clark.
Oh yeah, I gotta know that. See, I get myself in trouble now. This is going on TV, and there's people in Robertson, and I'm just saying, what? So I'm gonna sit in the end zone, okay, Brock? No, you know what? I know these guys. All the guys that are in here right now, I've known all these guys since they were little guys playing for the Vipers. They grew up with my son. They're good kids, and they're great football players, and I love the Morton Governors. I come to all their games. Well, as much as I can, but during the playoff run especially, I donate money to their suppers. Coach Richards, outstanding. I know that you guys make Hessville, and Hammond so proud. And last year you were that close, right? Yeah. Hey Brock, you want to introduce your fellow players?
Yes, this is Alfred Dickey, a senior. To my left is Felix Torres, another senior, and Chris McCormick, another senior.
And, all right, and? You forgot your brother?
Benjamin Daniel, sophomore.
Guys, you give Warren Governor football team, do a round of applause. I appreciate the invite. I will definitely, and I know you guys, it's really neat that you guys are recognizing the veterans, and I'm definitely going to try to make it, all right? But great job beating Lowell, by the way. That was a good way to start, so good job, you guys. All right? Thanks for coming out, you guys. Anybody have any questions? Morton Governors.
Good job, guys.
Good job,
Yeah,
gentlemen.
good job.
What's that?
Did you watch it on TV?
Yes. It's election year. Of course I did.
Excellent.
I listened to it on JW though.
It was very good.
All right. Cindy?
Actually, I'd like to follow up on all the help the city gave us last year when they came here, we got into the playoffs. I was never so proud to live here in Hammond when I saw what the mayor's office, they pulled out all the stops. They came in with bleachers, they came in with lights, anything we needed to come in. Those people, they made comments. They were afraid to come to Hammond, Indiana. But when they were done, we got emails from parents, and they said, we can't believe how well run this was. We can't believe how everything was so orderly. And my comment was, well, of course it was. This is our city. We know how to host a quality playoff. And thank you again, and we look forward to working with you again. It was a great partnership.
Thank you very much. Good to see you guys. I appreciate you coming. All right. Okay, let's go into the next question.
Okay, Mayor, staying on engineering with Stan, I think. The field on 173rd behind Robin Hood Lane needs lights, if possible.
Okay.
Is that?
Was that all the way east?
Is that field being used as a park or anything like that?
Is that the one that's right off the service road?
It's like mowed and it's nice and clean, right? I don't know what you want to do there.
That's the one basically right off the service road, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, right, nice and close, right. Okay, what was the question again? Now that we...
The field needs lights.
Lights?
Lights for a specific purpose? Like
Is that I don't know if technically that's even a park. It's more like
I don't think it is.
Right, it hasn't been designated. Is that the one that Attorney Cantor wanted to name? Yeah. Oh, that is a park now. Well, hasn't been named, has it?
No, I mean,
It's city property now.
Is that the one you wanted to name after the councilman?
yeah. Chico Park.
Chico Park. I didn't want to break it out right here. Congratulations, Chico. So it sounds like that. I'm glad you brought this up, ma'am. It sounds like it has been designated an official park. For a while, that was not an official park. It was just a place where people played. Now it's been designated an official park, and I think we have to come up with an official plan of action. So, where is my favorite park department official?
It's down there.
Hey, Pat, how's it going? Sounds like we got a new park, Pat.
Pretty much aware of that area. It's right now we just keep it cut, keep it clean. I don't know about putting lights out there. We don't really have a baseball field out there. I think what's been mentioned is a soccer field that the councilman wanted to do. It's actually too small for it. It doesn't have any parking. You know, I'm not quite sure. Maybe an upgrade on playground equipment would work, but athletically fields, it's not going to work.
But okay, I agree. And maybe what we're talking about is instead of lighting the fields, maybe it's just a general dressing up. I think that might be what she's talking about. But now, since we're on the park department, since you have the microphone, why don't we talk about real good news in the 6th District right now is the project you got going at Miller School. Could you talk a little bit about the soccer complex that we're building?
Sure. We're getting ready, actually about, probably I would assume right around 4 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now, we should have a ribbon cutting going to happen at the Miller School, is where we're putting in a soccer complex. That's going to be fenced. There's no lights on it. There's not going to be any night soccer happening out there. But there will be a fence around it. It's got irrigation. In about 2 or 3 days, the black dirt's getting ready to go into it. We're going to sod it, not seed it. If you seed an athletic field, then you're supposed to stay off it for like about 1.5 years. And that's why we've been sodding most of the fields that we do. But I'm hoping about 4 or 5 weeks we're going to be done with that project. I don't remember the exact date, Mayor, but there is a penalty of $1,000 a day if they don't complete it by that day.
Okay. And it's sometime in October, I'm hoping? Okay. Okay. Anyway, man, sounds like we got some homework to do on your idea, but you're completely legitimate. That is technically a park now. But where was it? What was the ownership of that before, Chris? I know we acquired that property, right?
Actually, it was really wild. It was one of those.
I knew this was going to be. You could tell it was going to be a good story because she was like, "Ooh, I can't wait to see this."
There was a family, and I won't say their names, that had basically went out there and claimed all that land for Spain. It was theirs because they stuck a flag in it, but it wasn't. It actually belonged to INDOT. And so they had fenced it in, and they said it was theirs, and they were kicking all the kids off the playground equipment. And then it was the Andersons, who wanted, of course, the park named after them, that kept calling me and saying, hey, there's these people kicking these kids out of here. Isn't this your land? And so we did a research. It was INDOT's. We actually went to court, and we did get possession of it. We dedicated it as a park. And then we had to go to court a couple more times because we're still getting tax bills on it. But no, it is in fact ours, but it took a very long time. And the working title was Chico Park the entire time.
That was like the code name.
Yeah,
right.
for Chico Park. But I mean, it might not be big enough for grown-up soccer, but maybe it's good for little kids soccer.
Yeah. I know right now it's mostly being used as like a spare field,
right.
You know. Isn't there a backstop there, like a baseball backstop? Right. Councilman, you wanted to say something?
Okay, I did assist with, I think it was about $50,000 to purchase that land. I'd rather the city, it belonged to the city, and it could be used maybe in the future as a practice field. We haven't decided what we're going to do there yet, but at least we know there's going to be no apartments there. That's the good thing. And getting back to the soccer field at Miller School, I am assisting by, and that's the reason why I'm doing the 67 and 6800 block of New Hampshire. And next year, the 67 and 6800 block of New Jersey. Why? With ornamental lighting. Why? Because everybody's going to be using those streets, and they're going to be wrecking into cars, vandalism, you know, whatever happens there. I said, well, I'm going to step up to the plate. Instead of assistant with the soccer field with money, I said, you know what? Myself, I'm going to make sure that those streets are done, the trees are knocked down so you can see when you drive through there, and it's lit up with lights. And I also said that I would assist by putting lights all the way around Miller School, since there's going to be kids there, that I would assist with putting lights all around the school.
Thanks, Councilman. Any other questions about these projects? Over here. Yeah.
You can probably hear me without the microphone.
Okay.
I just recently moved here from Munster. I live in the 6th district now.
Okay.
And the one thing I really miss from there are the walking paths. Do you guys have anything
You know what's funny?
around this area for
We're working on a project right
dog
now.
park, walking path, something?
We're working on a project right now with NERC to connect up our bike trails. We have great bike trails in Hammond, but they're separated by major streets, 169th, 165th, Calumet. And what we need to do is try to figure out a strategy, because what I would like to see is you be able to take a bike from Hessville to Robertsdale to Highland to Munster, all around Northwest Indiana without having to stop, and it's not an unreasonable goal. We could do it, so what we're doing is working with NERC, because there is federal money available for this. I'm the chairman of NERC, which is the Regional Planning Commission. I got a meeting with the ped and pedal guy on this very issue about bike trails. So I agree with you. This is a goal that we need to go for. Unfortunately, you know, we've got a lot of priorities, but it is definitely high on the list. So I appreciate you bringing that up. And thank you for moving here, by the way. What's that? Gibson Park? Yeah. Okay, question. Great. Next question, Donna?
Okay, there's a bunch on this one, streets and sand related. Why when I call for pickup of branches in the alley, do they only pick up one address at a time?
Okay, branches in the alley, let's take this.
Now, as much as we tried to tell everybody to pick up the whole alley and go through there, I guess we're going to crunch down on a little bit harder. We have one chipper right now running the whole city, and most of the people that are calling here are full of complaints about being there
3 or 4 weeks in a row, and they're just going to the tickets, getting the, what we call the hotter tickets right now, to clean the whole alley. Everybody else is being put behind. As soon as we get the other, with a little more help with the other chip running, a couple more trucks in the area, we can go to the whole alley. They should be stopping there to do it anytime. If you don't, you call in and tell them they passed your address or your alley, your house, and they'll probably send somebody back out to pick it up, and it goes to the mayor's office anyway.
Looks like we got a follow-up question.
There was a trooper down the alley today, picked up trees and limbs and whatnot at the end of the alley. Passed by 4 other stacks of limbs, and I asked him, he says, we've got 28 tickets that we have to take care of. I asked him why he couldn't take care of what was right there in front of him, rather than running all over the city, going to this one.
Doesn't make a lot of sense, sir.
And come back, and the price of fuel these days,
Right.
it makes no sense to be
Can you tell
bouncing
me where
around
that's
like a
at?
cat on tin roof.
That was in Hessville, obviously. What's the address, sir?
What's your address?
6812 Kansas.
Okay, I was over there this morning. That was where the guy had a boat, he was working on a boat in the alley there.
Yeah.
And the brush is on the corner.
Yeah.
Okay, I told them they had to go back there today, but the boat hadn't moved at the time. They told me they were gonna get it from the edge of the street, but when they went to the landfill to dump the box, they didn't have enough time to get back. They are gonna be there tomorrow.
Well, they need an end loader. I found out that they would need an end loader to pick up another.
Well, I was actually trying to find out if they cut that tree down by a contractor, or if the guy in the corner cut himself.
The guy cut it himself.
Okay.
When he got on it.
But I spoke to the guy that was next to your house this morning. You had the blue house, right?
Yes.
6812 Blue House. And I talked to the guy with the boat, and he told me he'd probably be done today, so we should be there in the morning. Time tomorrow.
It's always impressive when they know which house you're in. I like that. Impressive / little creepy.
That's me. When I call these people, they sometimes they're not very nice. They're very rude, maybe it's because I call too often. But anyway, I just get tired of getting these branches and everything. We are one of the few people that use our alley. Everybody else parks their cars on the street, so they could care less. The people on Illinois all have side drives, so they don't use the alley. So here we are, we use the alley, and I'm complaining because all this brush is around, scratching my car as I go by. And I call the people, and they don't seem to they say, well, okay, we'll take care of it. And then 2 weeks later, I call again, and they say, oh yeah, we'll take care of it, And I just...
So, ma'am, you're saying they're blowing you off for 2 weeks? They wouldn't pick it up?
No, you have to call again. And it's not even my trash, it's other people's trash. I mean, other people's limbs,
I went through the whole alley today, if they called it. I got down there with the boat with Barely, and I told him we have it out there tomorrow morning, we have to get down the flag, we have some place. They come in from the other end, I apologize for that, so I'll talk to them tomorrow.
Oh, you came in all the way down?
From 69.
From south to north.
Well, they've been instructed millions of times to pick up the whole alley, and we'll get on tomorrow about that.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. And I'm sorry if my staff members are rude. If you have a rude experience with one of my staff members, please call up my office immediately, okay? And say, I just talked to somebody at this office and they were disrespectful to me, because that's not tolerated, ma'am. So it doesn't matter how often you call. We have people who call my office every single day, believe me, and we deal with them every single day, so.
My neighbors call them the alley mats.
Good. All right. Yes, sir. Squeaky wheel. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Their next question, Mayor, was how do we get the other homeowners to cut down the weeds in the alley?
Go for it. Whatever. Kelly here? Okay, Tim? Tim, you want to answer on behalf of code enforcement? Sounds like we have an alley that's overgrown. Mr. Callahan?
I can write down this number and ask for Jim Callahan tomorrow morning, and I'll make sure it's taken care of.
Jim, could you just take down a complaint? They already filled out the paperwork. Why don't you just take their complaint?
Okay, that'll be fine.
You got it. It's filled out right down with their address. Yeah, let's just get that to code
No,
enforcement.
this address is, I don't think this is the problem address, it's probably in that 100 block.
Okay.
She would like the number.
No problem, just make sure that gets to code
We've
enforcement.
got magnets back there. We've got magnets with numbers.
Yeah, but we don't want to give homework assignments here. You know, they filled out the paperwork, we'll take the paperwork in, okay?
You're fine.
All right,
Take care of it.
thank you. Okay. All right, code enforcement issues.
Okay, one more.
Okay.
Why is Kansas Avenue getting pretty lights when the money could be used to do better use in schools and libraries and parks?
Why is Kansas Avenue getting lights when the money could be better used for
Schools, libraries, and...
schools? It's separate government. Libraries, separate level of government. Parks, okay. We'll take that legitimately, okay? We can't give money to schools. I guess we could, but schools has their own tax rate, their whole separate taxing entity. So, and same goes for library. Library operates completely independent of the Civil City. 7 library board members, 1 appointed by the Civil City of Hammond, all right? And your 5 school board members, as we know, are all appointed independently. So it's 100% run by the school board members. So they're all different levels of government. That's how they run it in Indiana. Some places, the mayor has a lot more input into schools and libraries, and some places they don't. And we're one of, a state where they don't. So now, why is Kansas Avenue getting redone when we could use the money for parks? Was it Kansas? Councilman, you want to jump on? You want to come up here, Councilman, so you're more comfortable?
I've been asked to put ornamental lighting on Kansas because it's the main street that they use for the fire department. And Kansas is one of the first streets that was done when the casino money came in, along with Montana and Missouri. But the reason I chose Kansas and also Kentucky is because they've been telling me about it for the past 7 or 8 years. And if you notice, most councilmen throughout the city, they put ornamental lighting on every street that they do. Once you knock down the streets, it lights up the whole place. If you got big trees in your street, even if you don't put ornamental lighting, it lights the place up. But Kansas and Kentucky were one of the first streets that was done, and they've been asking me for the past 7 or 8 years. So that's why I chose those 2. And I believe Montana and Missouri, I think it is going to be done. If you notice, most of the streets that I do with ornamental lighting are main streets or around parks or around apartment buildings. That's what I usually do. But eventually, hopefully we'll all have them, but that's years down the line. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman. And I'd like to point out in Hessville, we have a number of park improvements that have gone on in Hessville. Obviously, at Caldwell School, we demolished Caldwell School and built what's now the Hessville Little League Complex, which I think most of us agree is outstanding. We did some improvements to Morton for the football field, for the soccer team, for the football team. Boys and girls soccer obviously benefit from that, as well as the Hessville Vipers and other youth sports. And we're in the current process of, also we did the skateboard park in Hessville, which is very nice. I realize not all this is in the 6th district, but I think we all agree kids from the 6th and the 5th both use that. And then, of course, we're going through Miller right now, Miller School, with the soccer complex. So I'd like to think that Hessville has a lot going on right now with the city, a lot of improvements to an aging park system. So, yeah.
You're talking about the ball field. I was there Saturday, the one Caldwell. Somebody has already cut a hole in that nice mat under the playground area.
Yeah.
It looks like crap already. I cannot believe they have to do something like that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Well, I did find a piece and put it back in.
Did you know that, Pat?
Somebody cut a hole in that
It is.
nice mat.
Okay, well, I mean, it's unfortunate, but when we first opened Optimist over at the Riley Complex, when we first opened it, it was tagged on opening day. And we pulled all the kids in, and I brought them out there. I did this at the skateboard park too, and I brought the kids out there and I said, listen guys, we've spent a lot of money on this, and you guys got to police it for us. And we really haven't had much problem since then. Did the same thing at the skateboard park, pulled all the little guys out there and said, listen guys, if a lot of the neighbors are worried you guys are going to be hanging out smoking, you're going to be tagging this place, it's going to be bad, and the skateboarders sort of police it themselves. So if we keep having problems, we can always, bring the baseball players out there. I really believe most, 99% of our kids are good kids, well-abiding kids. It's definitely the 1%.
There was bigger kids there one day. They climbed up, up past the arch. They were shaking that thing. I said, what do you want to do? Tear it up? Leave it alone. Make it nice.
Yep. Yeah, well, we'll follow that up. Pat was taking notes, so I appreciate you bringing that up.
That's because their parents are working and the kids just roam the neighborhoods.
Okay. Yes, sir.
With the baseball park over there, when the Little League finishes up over there, in usually, what, the end of July?
Well, they have fall ball too, but yeah.
Yeah, but there's nothing else going on over there. I've been by there dozens of times, and there's nothing.
There's a playground there, which is nice.
The playground, but as far as the baseball field, why don't the city start something up for the kids?
Well, I can tell you from the football. Well, we don't run the Little League. The Little League is run by Hessville Little League. But I totally agree with what you're saying right now. I can tell you at Optimus. That's I'm from a different part. You know, my kid plays for the Optimus baseball, and I'm a coach out there, and I have been for a while. I can tell you that they also started a fall ball league out there, and I believe Hessville has a fall ball league as well. But one other use of those fields is the Hessville Vipers. During October, November, when it's getting night early and they're still having to practice, and Hessville Vipers is a great, very successful program, and they usually play late into the season. A lot of times they need lights to practice under. This was a big problem before we built the beautiful field you have at Morton now. A lot of them practice there, but there are multiple uses for these fields.
How about the tennis courts over at Dowling Park? They look like something went through them with a weed.
They're about to be upgraded by Purdue Cal. That's going to be the first upgrade you see at Dowling Park, actually. Purdue Calumet's investing $6 million. Is it total cost of the project $6 million? It's a $6 million project. What they're going to have eventually in Hessville Park, it's going to be a home to Purdue Calumet Sports. This was unveiled probably 6 months ago. Purdue Cal is going to start off with a tennis team, and they're going to upgrade the tennis courts for primary use by Purdue Cal students during matches, but when they're not being used, they're open to the public. You'll see the tennis courts go first. Eventually, they're going to get soccer fields, college-level soccer fields over there, a baseball and a softball, professional, or college baseball and softball fields. It's all going to be located in Dowling Park. Soon, real soon. You're going to see tennis. It's a phased over 4 years. It's phased in, but the first phase you will see is the tennis courts, and it's happening soon. Pat, do you remember exactly when that's supposed to go? It's on.
I believe we have a meeting coming up with Purdue Cal, I think it's next week, Mayor.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, you'll probably get a firmer date. Right now, I don't know a firm date on it.
I know that was the first phase, was tennis. And Purdue Cal just got a leadership change. Howard Cohen, the former chancellor of Purdue, who I have a great relationship with, stepped down, and we have a new chancellor, Tom Keon, who took over. He's a wonderful guy. Obviously, he's from University of Central Florida, Orlando. So he's still getting his feet on the ground, trying to get to know his staff, and trying to get to know the key players. I had breakfast with him this morning, and we talked about this project. Confident it's going to happen. It's exciting, actually, because Dowling Park could use a major upgrade like that. And besides what Purdue Cal is going to put into it, we're going to put in walking paths and lighting and stuff like that as well. Fast forward 5-6 years, Dowling Park will be a gem. A gem. It will be. And it's going to be top notch because it's all collegiate athletics. It's going to be practice out of there. Makes a lot of sense for Purdue Cal too. It's so close to the campus, so it's a win-win. And when Purdue's not using it, it's all for us. So, good question. I appreciate it, especially bringing up the tennis courts. We already had that one figured out. So, any questions? Sounds like we're talking about park equipment, park projects. Yes.
I'm not sure when we transitioned from code enforcement to parks, but I've got a comment on one and a question on the other.
No problem.
As far as the code enforcement goes, I'm wondering when we have these foreclosed on properties and the grass gets overgrown, and then eventually when it's disgusting, they come out there and they clean it up. But then do we have to call again? Obviously, this property is still not habitated, so no one's taking care of it, and it happens a month later, and
I think I can answer this one right now, and then we'll get on to your next question. Okay. What happens usually is March, April, when the grass starts getting ready to start growing again, we find out the foreclosed properties, usually they're called into us, you get the grass complaint. Jimmy forwards a complaint to a judge who has to approve us to go onto that property. Not us, the city, we hire a contractor, comes onto the property and cuts it for a flat fee. What's the fee?
For a flat fee, right?
Yeah, what about what?
I'm not sure what it is. It depends on
So let's say it's $150. It's not very economical. It's cheaper for you to do it yourself if you're the homeowner. We cut it and we lien the property. So basically, we're wasting $150 on that cut, but we're gonna get our money back eventually, because they can't settle that property and clear the title until we get our money back. So it's called a weed lien. It's something we started doing shortly after I took over. Attorney Cantor helped us greatly with that. Chris, do you have anything you want to add to this?
We put it on the taxes.
Yes.
So we don't put it on the property, because they have to pay the taxes every 6 months or it goes up.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I apologize.
So we actually get the
But
money
it's still a
back.
lien on the property,
Yeah,
though,
but
right?
we get the money back sooner.
Right.
Because the property might not sell for 10 years.
Gotcha. Okay. So eventually we do get paid back, but we have to do that because we can't just go cut people's property because it's private property, and that's what they did in East Chicago, and there's people in jail for that. So I got little kids. So.
So what my question is do we have to call again on this property?
Jimmy?
Normally what we do.
It's not on.
Normally, once we do a cut and clean, we'll check with the water department, find out how long it's been vacant, or if it is vacant. If it is vacant, we will have the contractor go out every couple of weeks and automatically cut it until it is purchased and occupied again.
We still do the green stickers, right, Jim?
Right.
We put a big visible green, light green sticker on the front so that homeowners like yourself, Don, if you see the green sticker, you know it's on our radar, which means it's on the cut and clean, so that you don't have to call it in every time the grass gets long. When I first took over as mayor, we had to literally get a judge's approval for each cut, which was ridiculous. It clogged the courts, it slowed us down. So what we started doing is knowing that that house next door to you is probably going to be abandoned a month from now when the grass is 2 feet long again, we get the order for the season and we continue to maintain it and lien the property.
Okay.
Did I answer your question? You got the skeptical look on your face.
No, you didn't. Yeah.
No, actually,
Well, it doesn't seem to be happening, that's why I'm
Okay.
asking.
Yeah, the address?
It's not happening.
Huh?
I'll give him the address, I'll call it in.
Okay.
Right, because the contractor should cut it at least every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And if he's not doing that.
Did you call it in?
Yeah.
Really? There's a green sticker?
Yeah.
Huh. Usually the people that are cutting are super excited to cut because they know they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. So definitely call it in or bring it to Jimmy's attention after if you could. Thanks.
Okay, and then I have a comment about
Sure.
the parks.
Uh-huh.
It's actually a compliment to the police department. 2 months ago, I went to Crime Watch and I actually discussed this with Chico. We were having homeless people staying in our dugouts in Hessville. So I fundraised actually and had the extra fencing put along the open-ended part of the dugout so that we could lock it up. And it served a couple purposes. It kept the homeless from sleeping there. It kept the kids into the dugout and the parents out of the dugout. Sorry, guys. But that's the truth of the matter. And then this semi-homeless guy started staying in our pavilions. I mean, he would be there at 6 o'clock in the morning with a lantern, reading his newspaper. You drive by.
In the dugout?
What?
In the dugout?
No, not in the dugout. He was in the pavilions. Now he started habitating that. Apparently, he sort of has a home around there, and when the lady leaves, he has to leave, so he doesn't have anywhere to go, so he goes there and hangs out. Well, I went again after I took Crime Watch again, and I talked to Scott Holbrook, and he actually did some work, and they found out he had warrants in Florida, and they actually ran him out of there. So he's been gone. I go by there every morning. He's been gone for about a week and a half now. So I just wanted to comment on. Thank you to Scott for doing that.
Give Scott a big round of applause. Thanks, Scott. Any other questions? I don't even know what topic we're on now. I think we're on parks? Parks.
We touched on libraries a little while ago, and I do have it written about libraries.
Library question.
Because of the lack of funds, the Hammond Public Library Board last night started to consider closing the Howard and Hayward branches as of November 1st. This will leave only the main branch open. Can the city do anything to help keep these libraries open for the children?
Whose question is that? Yeah. It's under the Indiana code, the library operates completely independent of the city. It would be like, and I can tell you that we were briefed by the libraries, and it's not just a little bit that they're upside down. It's millions. It's $2.5 million, is it? $2.5 million annual operating shortfalls, and it's because of the tax caps that we put into the Constitution. When we do things like that and vote for the tax caps like we did, what happened is it shortchanged government all across the state. We had the same shortages that they do. I can tell you right now, sir, when I took over as mayor, January 1st, 2004, the city of Hammond got $48 million in property tax revenue every year. 42 million. We get 28 million now. 14 million less, 8 years later. I mean, we all have these challenges. But the thing is, in the library system, there's 7 members on the library board, and we have 1 appointee out of 7. So we have literally 1/7 responsibility and operation in that.
I just feel bad. I moved to Hessville in 1954, 3 doors away from the Hanson Branch Library. My wife retired from the library. She was the last employee at the Hanson Branch Library. And as we go along, we're closing. Our children will not have libraries. I volunteer at O'Bannon School and read to the kids, because nobody reads to them. And I see 10 years from now, we won't have a library.
And I'll be honest
And
with you,
I realize, excuse me, I realize it's not your problem.
No.
But it is our problem.
No, I didn't want to, it's not, what I'm saying is, when we have no input in hiring decisions and firing decisions and personnel staffing levels, we have no control over how much the budget gets driven up. But basically, I think if the library had their druthers, we would give them $2.5 million a year to keep all the branches open. You can't expect that from us, because my property tax draw right now is 28 million, and the police department costs 24 million. My property tax draw is 28 million, and the police department costs 24 million. We have the same challenges on our budget that the library has, that the townships have, that the county has. We're all in this together. We're all, in the hot water. And in the private sector, look at what's going on with the bookstores in the private sector. Barnes & Noble shutting down, Borders is shutting down. I think I am a big reader, and I believe in reading, and I tell kids all the time, just the most important skill you're learning is reading. It is. And I totally agree with you, sir. The libraries serve a role, but unfortunately in Indiana, we pass these tax caps, and that creates huge gaps in all of our budgets that we have to deal with. And I think 80% of the people in Indiana voted for those tax caps. And this is the repercussions of the tax cap. So we have to try to figure out how to keep officers on the streets, and how to keep those library branches open, and how to keep the schools running at a high level that they run at, and still give you the savings that taxpayers demand. I mean, it's a tough thing. No, I appreciate you bringing that up, and Mr. Davidson and I were briefed on that a few months back. And I guess at the time they were saying that they're basically looking to keep the main branch open, and at that time, from what I understood, the satellite branches were in jeopardy. So, does anybody have any questions or comments on that library situation?
I'm just wondering if somehow the libraries, maybe the churches in the city could somehow get linked up with helping them stay open even.
The comment was that the churches could link up and help the libraries keep open. I can tell you, ma'am, in my opinion, if the library came and gave the presentation they gave to us and they said, we need $25,000 to keep this branch open, we could probably do something. We could probably scratch that kind of money together. They were saying, we need $2.5 million to keep staffing levels where they are. And it's $2.5 million. That's a lot of money, man. I mean, it blows holes in budgets. I mean, it's just, we couldn't do that without, our main job is public safety, quite frankly. Keeping your streets safe, keeping your parks safe, keeping you safe. If your house is on fire, putting your fire out, picking up your garbage. We have to focus on our core, and the library is a total separate entity. And it's tough. I mean, it's too bad that they have these problems. I feel horrible for them, but we have a job to do also. It's just a tough situation.
Mayor,
yes.
if you remember, even when they close the 2 branches, the 2 remaining branches, there's still going to be like $1.5 million in the hole. So. And
the scary thing is, even if, like Mr. Davidson just said, even if they do shut those satellites down, I don't know how they're going to keep the main branch open with the numbers that they were showing us. I don't know the budget, because that's a whole separate level of government, but I know it's bleak, and I don't know how they're going to get out of it. But our job right now is to keep 210 officers on the streets, keep our firehouses open, keep picking up your garbage and recycling, fixing your streets, lighting up your streets. We have a job to do too. It's just a hard situation. Don, I think we have a question over here, this gentleman.
the main library paid off, or do they still owe money on that building?
I have no idea. I mean, this is, like I said, this is a separate unit of government. We're not, they issued their own bonds and their own debt. They're responsible for their debt. Quite frankly, I'm not sure. I would say probably not, because it was only 7 years ago that they opened that, 8 years ago. So I'd say probably not, but I have no idea. That was a decision made before I was mayor. I mean, it's a great addition to Hammond, though. I think most of us would agree, but that's a decision.
I'm trying to have an open library than one that's a beautiful edifice.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. I think this young lady had a question. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that you're absolutely right, Mr. Mayor. It's not just Indiana, it's Wisconsin, it's Illinois. Libraries are almost becoming a thing of the past. It's the e-books, it's the internet, where people don't need to go physically to a library, even though there are wonderful things to have and we love to have them for our children. It's just unfortunate that that is just the way that things are going. It's the sign of the times that, you know, libraries are just, they're just becoming one of the things of the past. And it's unfortunate because it is a good place for kids to go do their homework, to study. But it's not just Hammond, so please don't think that it's just local. It's all over the country.
Great point. And I tell you, when I read the newspaper in the morning, I wonder, 15 years from now, are we still going to get the newspaper on our porch in the morning? Are we still going to have the library books, or is it just going to be a computer with 100 books loaded onto a single computer? You know? I mean, who knows what it's going to be like, but, you know, I agree with you in a lot of respects, ma'am. And pointing out the private sector is going through the same type of struggles right now with the Borders and the Barnes & Noble. I mean, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, sir. I think it's tough for the community to deal with, but, all right, library, yeah.
Can I follow up on that question?
Yeah, sure.
Man, you are correct, because, Mayor, you are right. 10 to 15 years from now, everything's gonna be e-books, like you're talking about. The newspaper, right now, the Hammond Times, the Times, you can go e-Times. You can read the newspaper online for a subscription. You don't have to get the paper delivered anymore. And that's what's going to happen. It's sad that these children are going to lose out on a great opportunity about reading, because this is an open world to them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you know, I remember the milkman used to come, and you don't see a milkman anymore. Things are changing, right? You know? I remember when the kid used to come to our door and collect money, and you'd always dodge him because you didn't have the money. That goes away too. It's just society's changing. It's, you know. Anyway. Nice. I don't remember that.
Hey, Mayor, personnel related. To work for the city of Hammond, do you have to be a Hammond resident? I know you do in Whiting and Chicago.
Yes, you do. Something I passed when I became mayor. And I'm going to pass the microphone up to Sharon Daniels, so get the microphone ready. But when I took over as mayor, one of the things I campaigned on was department heads had to live in the city of Hammond, which is a no-brainer, and that's the fact now. I took over as mayor, we passed a residency ordinance, we, the Hammond City Council and the mayor, passed a residency ordinance that said, first off, we grandfathered in those that already lived outside. We said any future employees have to live in the city of Hammond, and if any current city employees move out of the city of Hammond, they lose their job. It was never challenged in court. It's a legal ordinance. We've been enforcing it vigorously for the better part of 6 years. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's a no-brainer. And I actually get sort of offended. I'll have people come up to me. I hear this a lot. They say, hey, can I get a job in the city? And I say, where do you live? And they say, Valparaiso. And I say, no. And they go, why? I say, because you have to live in the city. We have a residency ordinance. They say, well, if you want, I'll buy a house and I'll say I live there. And I say, you're talking to the mayor. Are you serious? You know, like what's so wrong with our city? You know, and so I have no problem enforcing that. That's my job. Sharon.
Is all that you need. A is fine, it's the extra bonus, but you just need to have a Class B. And as far as residency, we do have it. It's stated on our application, and we're one of the only cities in the area that do have it. I don't think Whiting.
No, I think we're the only, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
I know I've had residents and council people from Gary come over and say, yeah, that's a great idea. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It's such a no-brainer. I mean, how could you be the mayor or city council person in the city and advocate anything else? Of course, if we're gonna hire somebody, hire one of your own residents. It just doesn't make sense any other way. So, I mean, it was really novel when we did it, but to me, it just makes a lot of sense. So.
Does that not pertain to the fire department?
Good question. Real good question. The question was, does that pertain to the fire department? No, it does not. We have the firemen, police officers, and teachers have a state law right that they do not have to live in their home city. I think that is a horrible law, personally. I don't support that law. I wish that law went away, but it's the way it is right now. And what you see is those employees take advantage of that and they move out, and it's not good. If you were going to make a community from scratch, wouldn't you want to start with police officers, firemen, and teachers to create that community? And what we've done is said, oh, that's all right, you guys don't have to live here. Makes no sense. I strongly feel that if you make your money from the city, you should live in the city. It would be like if you worked for Ford and I pulled up in a Hyundai, right? But like, why do you have a Hyundai? I love my Hyundai. I work for Ford, but I drive a Hyundai. It just doesn't work. We do that in Hammond. I'm proud of it. I never, ever, ever make exceptions. It just doesn't work. So we hire Hammond people. That's the way it is.
Isn't that similar to being allowed to carry guns in the public buildings?
Ouch.
It's a no-brainer too, isn't it?
It's a what?
Should have been. No-brainer.
Yeah. No-brainer what? To sign it or not to sign it?
No, to make it illegal.
Yeah.
You know,
you would think. We could bring that issue up. I figured it was going to, so.
Over here regarding employment, Mayor.
Yeah. I just started thinking about the lawsuit. Sorry.
Hello, my name is Donnie. Hammond resident. Bought a house about 5 years ago right over here in Montana. And my concern is that I am a teacher, I'm a licensed principal, I have a double master's and EDS. I've applied for a job out here for maybe about 9 years.
With the school city?
Yes, sir. I keep my application current, all the materials are turned in, and I have not even gotten an interview.
It's frustrating to hear.
My other concern is the businesses. Since moving to Hessville, I notice a lot of times that, especially in gas stations, there's lots of paper and trash, you know, just all around about, not every business, but some businesses. And personally, I would like to see for what I paid for the property and what I expect to get when I move there, I'd like to see just cleaner businesses outside, you know, their lots.
Great point. Okay, your first point though, I think you're in luck because literally over your left shoulder, and off to the side a little bit, is the school city trustee, Cindy Murphy, who's a Hammond resident. She's a great Hammond resident. She's a Hessville resident, and maybe you and her could get together and she can help you with your frustrations. Because to me, it's a no-brainer for the schools to, of course, try to hire Hammond teachers first. It doesn't make sense not to. And I appreciate the fact you bought a house. And if you have specific complaints about properties, if you give them to me, you can come up and talk to us afterwards and give us, Jim, could you raise your hand again? Jim? Jim, could you raise your hand? Raise your hand.
He's talking.
I woke him up, sorry. Yeah. But Jim, if you give Jim your complaint, and we'll take it down and follow it up with the specific businesses, okay? Thank you. Okay, Donna.
Sir, what is the procedure to apply for the College Bound program?
Courtney. It sounds like these are, okay. Courtney, how's it going? Courtney Margraf is, as Courtney says, well, how many times am I going to do that? I apologize. Courtney is in charge of the College Bound program. She's been running it now for 4 years, 3 years? 3 years. How many students participate in the program now, Courtney?
Currently right now there's over 500 in the program and 480 approved students going to school throughout the state of Indiana.
Great. So how do you apply for this program again?
Okay, every springtime, Mayor McDermott, Tom Daverton, and myself, we go to all the public and private high schools in the city of Hammond to talk to, you know, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors about deadlines and academic criteria and home ownership and all that stuff. Students cannot apply with me until after they graduate high school in June, since academically I need their official transcript that measures their cumulative GPA all through freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. Usually they graduate the first or second week of June. The deadline is always July 1st. In the springtime, new student applications go online at www.gohammond.com. There's a College Bound icon. If you click on that, it'll walk you through the eligibility, all of that stuff, and then give you the option to download a new student application. So, do you need any further details?
How much per year?
The amount actually just got increased a couple months ago by $500, so now the maximum amount is $9,100 per year for 4 years towards tuition and fees only during fall and spring semesters.
Thank you, Courtney. Any follow-ups on College Bound?
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
My daughter was in that. She went to IU last year, and she just got married, and they're living in Lansing, Illinois, in his parents' home. And I'm wondering, she did not sign up for her second year yet, but is she still eligible to get back into it?
She's out of state.
You have to remain a Hammond resident. We've had a couple of situations similar where the student gets married and they've moved to Hammond, and as long as they're living in Hammond, and the parents remain in Hammond, I know of at least one exception that was made, but in this case, the student is now living out of state, they're living outside Hammond, so they wouldn't be eligible.
Sorry. We have a board that we set up to handle disputes like this, because I didn't want to have to be the one that has to make these decisions. So what we did was we got a board of 7 people, is it, Don? 7? And then you have actually some Hessville residents on the board, a couple of them I know of, that are on this board. And what they do is they hear these disputes, and they're completely anonymous. And they don't know if it's a boy or a girl, they don't know what race, anything. All they know is this is the fact pattern, and they make decisions based blindly. It could be my daughter going through the process. They would have no idea. They look at the situation and they make a decision, and we stick to it. It's called the Exceptions Committee. I think it's one of the neat parts of our program. So if you thought that you would want to appeal this decision, you would have to apply to the Exceptions Committee, and they would hear you out, okay? So, any questions on College Bound? No problem.
Here, we've got the information back here on the table if anyone wants to stop by.
We got College Bound information back there. Yes, sir?
Do the students have to do community service?
Yes, sir. The students have to, it's an incentive for home ownership. You have to own a home. The student has to do reasonably well in school. There's certain GPA standards they have to meet. Plus, every year they have to do up to 40 hours of community service in the city. You'll notice in the summer times, you'll see a lot of College Bound students doing community service. You know, working at the marina, working at the Festival of Lakes, working in the street department or the park department, working in the mayor's office. In fact, one of my employees in the mayor's office was a College Bound student. That's how we met her. So,
That's a good idea.
yeah, thank you. It's a good opportunity for the students too. It's get to intern, and if you want to be an engineer, go work for Stan, and see what an engineer does for a week. I think it's a good opportunity for them as well. It's a great thing. Actually, Joanne Matanovich, the councilwoman from Hessville, who passed away a couple of years ago, her addition to the College Bound was the community service part, and it was actually a stroke of genius. So, thank you for the question. Any other questions on College Bound? Hammond, Indiana, your mayor, me, received a national award for that program. And it wasn't my award, it was our award. We did a good job. When we passed that program, we went around Hammond and built up support for it. It caught like wildfire, and it's been a great, very successful program. So, thank you for asking. Donna.
Okay, Mayor, is there any plan to resurface Arkansas Street between 169 and 171?
Councilman Gigo, you want Arkansas, 6971?
I don't have them on the list right now. I don't know if they, usually the same people, the same contractor does the resurfacing, but I'll take a look at it.
Thank you. Councilman? Yeah.
That was my question, because I live on the end of Arkansas, that's the dead end, and I know that.
I just knocked on your door the other day, didn't I?
I think so. I was down. But
you live right by the railroad tracks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knocked on your door. I mean, you probably weren't home, but that was
She didn't answer?
No.
That's sort of creepy too. No, we knocked on doors in that precinct the other day. My campaign did.
I don't know this guy.
That's we were just on your block actually.
Oh, okay.
This is nice.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking because our street is really, really bumpy. It's like a roller coaster ride. I don't know how that happened, but it's just like really wavy when you go down the street, and it's just kind of.
Okay. So you live on the 7100 block? Of Arkansas?
69.
69?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Actually, I was on the other side of the street.
Oh, yeah, that's sad.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll be at your precinct soon. Thanks, man. Okay, 6900 Block, Arkansas, we got a complaint on a wavy street. Any other questions? All right, Donna.
We've got a flurry of code enforcement.
How many mayor's night outs have we done now?
It has to be over 80.
We do 11 a year.
90.
11 a year, 7 years plus. We've done over 80 of these. Each one's a couple hours, and we take open questions like this. I remember when we first started these 7 years ago, they said they're staged questions, or I asked a question and they never read it. That is complete hogwash.
They still say it.
They still, I'm sure they do. They say it's staged. They say the questions you asked us are staged. Okay, it's funny. But we put it all on Go Hammond. We've been doing it from day one. So I think it's a good community service and keeps us all on our toes. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Mayor. After many calls to code enforcement, I cannot get the dumpster at the apartment building at 5933 Park Place covered and moved off the sidewalk.
Park Place?
Park Place.
All right, that's not a 60s question.
No.
Okay, Jim? Now you know why Kelly skipped the meeting tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Microphone.
I remember.
Turn your mic on, Jim.
I remember having a discussion with Kelly about this. It was my understanding that the dumpster has been moved, but if it has not been removed, just make sure, Donna, that I get a copy of that and we'll take care of it.
Yes, sir?
My question, and we have been calling, there's also a retired city councilman on my block who's been calling about this for the last month of elections since last winter.
So let me get this straight. You have a dumpster from a commercial property?
Apartment building.
Apartment building, and it's on the sidewalk?
It's right next to the sidewalk, and they refuse to close the top on it. We've been calling for
Okay.
months.
I have a situation like this we're taking care of in another part of the city. Do me a favor, give me a copy of that also, okay, Donna? I'll follow that up.
Yes, sir.
I know you guys got some issues over there. We always work close with former Councilman Ernie Dillon. But we have an issue like that in the 5th District, right across from Purdue County Met, and we took care of that problem there as well. It was a similar type of situation. Commercial dumpster, put it right on the sidewalk, and we got them to move it off the sidewalk. We could do the same with yours. It takes special attention though.
Right. There's no way a dumpster can get down the street because there's a NIPSCO wire that's hanging down that doesn't allow a truck to go through, which you've known about, the office has known about for quite some time.
I can't do much about NIPSCO wires though, sir. I can call NIPSCO.
Right, but I'm saying you're supposed to be able to help us get these problems resolved.
I'm sure we usually do call, and if NIPSCO blows us off, there's not much I can do, sir. But I will call, and that complaint's written down, right? I'll follow it up. Could you make sure I get a copy of that, please, Donna? Thank you, sir.
Okay, next up is in the 7000 Marshall. I live next to a nuisance house that was rated 7/20/11 and many police calls. Who do I contact to see where the landlords stand in being held accountable, and where are we in the eviction process?
Okay, first off, before we get in this, Chris, could you talk a little bit about the program, about us working closely with the police department on these nuisance properties, please? I just like making the city attorney walk like that. Yeah.
We started a program, we kind of did it on a lark back in 2008 when we had a prostitute over on Montana. It was just kind of an experiment to see if it would work, because that was a case beyond all compare. I'll have to tell you about it later. But anyway, it started as a problem. The problem is we have a lot of tenants who really could care less about the neighbors, about the Hammond police, about the city of Hammond in general, because they don't care, they're not planning on staying. So instead of citing the tenants, because they usually just skip anyway and we have a judgment we can never collect, we started citing the landlords. And then we really started getting some results, because now you've got all these people who think themselves so above everything, having to sit through a Hammond City court call, with the general population there, and answer as to why they allow gang members and drug dealers and prostitutes and all sorts of other, malcontents to live in their property, and then they make a buck off of it. And you wouldn't believe some of the things the landlords have come in and told the judge. Well, how am I supposed to know what goes on out there? I live in Dyer. They send me a check every month. That's all I care about. And judge doesn't take that very kindly. And there have been some substantial fines. And what started out as just kind of a novelty and experiment now has encompassed 6 full pages of paper where I have to keep track of the address, where the landlord lives, and what the disposition of the case is. And the police calls with the marshal, with the drug bust, the police, Rob Cobb, Brian Miller, Officer Holbrook, John Meter, they always forward the information to me, Anna Hengodi, all the guys. Every time there is a raid, they forward the information to me, and then I cite the landlord. The only thing that's causing a delay is because it takes 6 weeks to get a case into court. So all the recent raids that I've recently cited in August, those court dates are in the beginning of October. But once 90 times out of 100, the landlord will have evicted the tenant prior to coming to that hearing in court for the initial hearing. And I've only had a handful ask for trials, maybe 6 have asked for trials out of all of those, to claim that nothing was going on. But usually I do have the police, they come in, they testify, they do a fantastic job, they bring in the photographs, they bring in the gang graffiti, which they have written on inside all the walls, which the landlord claims to not have noticed on his frequent visits to make repairs. And it's usually pretty much a win for the city.
Thanks, Chris. Chief Miller, do you have anything you want to add to this?
No, she covered it.
I have, my staff is, Jimmy, you want to add? Thank you, Jimmy, appreciate it.
I was actually at this raid. It was because of gang activity. There were a search warrant, 3 arrests. There was an illegal bedroom in the basement that the owner is going to have to remove. Had glass block windows, and whoever lived down there was at risk in case of a fire. It's set for hearing. I think it's 10-5 is the hearing, and until then we won't, that'll be in Chris's hands at 10-5, and Chris does a very good job at this. Actually, I have the report in front of me, and to date, I think we have 123 what we call nuisance property projects, and then the cases that have actually gone to trial, 61 of the tenants have been evicted. 3 of the properties have been demolished, and I haven't calculated out the rest of it yet. But it's been a very successful program, and I've acknowledged the great job that our police department does and our city attorney does. And if you have a tenant, when I'm going over this, I see everything from narcotics, gang graffiti, guns, prostitution, dog violations, excessive noise. Don't hesitate to call PD. That is the best chance we have. We have a number of police calls to evict the tenant or take the owner to court, whichever it may be.
Yep. Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, sir.
For the city attorney, how many repeat offenses do they get from the landlords when they do get the complaints?
I've had one landlord that I cited now for the 2nd time for having, he had some gang members in there. And then here's the best part. He came into court to complain that we had boarded up all his windows and we'd done a very poor job of it. And I said, why did we board up the windows? And I looked through the paperwork. I said, the Hammond Police Department executed a search warrant for drugs on June 28th. You just found out in August your house is boarded up? He said, well, I only went over there to cut the grass and I noticed it was all boarded up and it was done all wrong. And I said, well, it's nice that you live in Dyer. And that's what this week goes, well, why do you always say that I'm from Dyer every time I come in here? And that's when I realized I'd cited him previously for another nuisance property at another location, also involving gangs and drugs. So he's the only one that I've had come up twice. However, I have had a nuisance tenant chased out of one property and then ended up causing trouble at another property and had to issue another citation against a different landlord for the same tenant. So, landlords basically go do a real quick credit check, go do a real quick background check. If they've been evicted from another place just a few weeks before, there's probably a reason for it. So, protect yourselves if you are a landlord who cares and take a very few basic, simple steps.
Thanks, Chris. In the back?
I'd like to compliment Brian and Chris. We had trouble on our street, same situation, but the house was in foreclosure and they're gone. The house on River Drive in Berkeley, where the house is boarded up, and I don't know if they're going to tear it down or what, but they're gone. They went to criminal.
Thank you.
They went to, and I thank them.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Question?
We have a couple more that are problems. 6331 Kentucky, it's an abandoned home with no trespassing signs, but people are going in through the windows. And 6404 Kentucky has a preschool, nursery school. They want to make sure that this school is up to code because they think there are some child.
Let's do them one, two separate ones, because that's going to go to zoning, so in planning, so you guys may want to get ready for that. Let's talk about the first one. You said
6331 Kentucky.
Chief Miller, Hammond Police Department, Chief.
Scott Holbrook's writing that address down right now. We have a problem with a lot of the abandoned houses in Hammond. People break into them, steal the scrap metal, and they actually cut the plumbing off right at the concrete level, so it causes a lot of problems for the homeowner. If you see someone going in an abandoned property, please give us a call. There's a very good chance that that person is going in there for the purpose of burglarizing it, or even if they're going in there just to trespass, give us a call. If it's kids or whatever, we need to know. We will come out, and if we find them in there, they will be arrested for criminal trespass or burglary, whatever crime they're committing. Yes, ma'am, you have a question?
This house, it wasn't abandoned. The homeowners passed away, and it was cited for back taxes, and it was sold in a group kind of thing. We had a representative of the new owner come to the house, and he wanted to go in, and he went through a bedroom window to get in, and they changed the locks on the doors. Then we had a contractor come in from South Bend, and he was going to start remodeling, and I told him, I said, well, the city is still cutting the grass here. He goes, well, what in the hell are they cutting the grass for? It's my property. So we left it at that, and then there was this same contractor came with someone else a couple of weeks ago.
Sam, do you have address for that property? Because we got Kirk Cook, the building commissioner.
Well, but recently, the city has come out and boarded the back door of it, and it says no trespassing.
Well, they probably don't have permits full, right, Kirk?
I don't think so.
If we're still mowing the property, we're not gonna mow the property if they're full of permits, right?
Well, those contractors are going in and out of the bedroom windows.
Well, that's why I need the address, ma'am. This is more of a building issue than a police issue.
Well, it could be both. We've had a lot of problems, like the chief said, with once we board up a property, people breaking in them, either stealing copper, destroying them, or whatever. What we started doing is putting no trespassing signs on everything we board up. That way, and on the we have an interest in the property once we board it up because there's a cost to the city involved with that property. And if someone breaks into that property with a no trespassing sign, PD can arrest them.
Well, now, there was no trespassing sign on it the first time you came out and boarded up a window and the garage door.
Right.
And
Guys, you know what I'm going to do? Because sometimes on specific issues like this, it's better just to take care of it after a meeting. I don't think we have too many questions left. If it's okay, if you can come back after, because it's just one piece of property and there's a lot of people in here. If it's okay.
And real quick, if you see someone crawling through a bedroom window, good idea to call 911. Most people use doors. If you see someone crawling through a bedroom window, usually it's not a good thing.
Yeah. Chief, is it true that you just became a grandpa for the first time?
Actually, third time, man.
Third time? Holy cow. I gotta, anyway, let's give the chief a big round of applause. Just got back. All right. Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Chief. All right, Donna?
We've got more for Chief, don't we? First, Chief, do you know what happened to the police blotter that used to be in the Times?
Chief.
Go ahead.
The Times made a business decision. Just like there's no Times reporter here right now, it's a business decision. I mean, these people, we don't control the newspaper. I mean, Chief, do you submit the crime blotter like you always have?
Yes, for the last 20 years that I've been in the police department, we make a copy of every single offense report. That's a criminal report, and we make it available in records. We do the exact same thing we've done for 20 years. A reporter comes in twice a week, Steve Zabrowski. He looks through them. He decides which one he wants to report on, then the Times decide if they want to report it. Councilwoman Poland was here. You went to the Times. Didn't you talk to Mr. Nangle about returning that? And
he told me point blank that he had no intention of bringing the blotter back.
That was the same
I
answer
did
I got.
say to him that I thought it was irresponsible of him, considering he used to be in the Hammond Times, and I thought that was a great service, and I know many of my constituents
really relied on looking at that blotter. But he told me under no circumstance that he wanted.
To make up for that, the city subscribed, well actually the police department subscribed to a program, computer program called crimereports.com. And what it does, it goes into our record bank every single night and repopulates a map with all the crimes that have occurred in the city. Within 3 days, where's Chris Campbell? I think it's three. It's three.
It's 1 day behind.
It's 1 day behind. And you can actually look that up. If you look up crimereports.com and go to Hammond, Indiana, it gives you all our statistics. And like I said,
isn't there a link right off our website for that?
HammondPolice.com.
Yes, if you go to hammondpolice.com, you can go right out, onto it from there.
You can get to HammondPolice.com. We moved it.
There's a 5-point star on Go Hammond. Just click on the icon.
Okay.
So that would help you. It's a really nice map, and it's a real nice crime mapping program. The only thing we don't give is the exact address. We'll tell you what block the crime occurred, and it's just so we don't re-victimize the person that had their house broken into or things like that.
Thanks, Chief. Question?
Okay, Mayor. Chief, how are you planning to handle crime, burglaries, and thefts specifically in Hessville? And what can we expect from our police officers when approaching a burglary in process? I think that's what it says. I'm having a hard time reading the writing.
Okay. First of all, our overall crime in the city of Hammond is down 9% this year, and that's up to July 31st. One of the things that we do have a problem with is burglaries and thefts. We even put an article in the paper encouraging neighbors. We have daylight burglaries. That's when all our burglaries occur. They occur between 9 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, with the most amount of them actually taking place between 12 noon and 4 p.m. And we're asking residents, if you see juveniles, a lot of our juveniles are in their early 20s, and what they're doing now, they go up to a door, they knock on the door. If no one responds, they go around to the back of the house and they break in. If someone responds, they ask for a fictitious person, and then they move on to another house. So we asked our residents if they see anything like that, if you see any cars pulling up in your neighbor's driveway and things are being taken out, please give us a call. Is it a challenge? Absolutely. One of the things that we did to address it, one of our Councilman Opinger gave us $50,000 for enhanced burglary patrols, and also one of the things we're doing, is there a Times reporter in here? Okay, good. What we're doing, we're going to actually be shadowing some of the burglars, watching them from unmarked cars and actually following them around to see if we can catch them in the act. And then the last thing that we did, we augmented our burglary unit. We have a detective unit that normally had 5 detectives, now we have 9. So we've really kind of taken a hard, proactive approach to that. Another thing we've been doing, all the scrap metal thefts, and we do have a lot of those. The metal has to go somewhere, and normally it goes to some of the scrappers in the area. There's one in Gary, there's one in Hagwish that'll take anything, no questions asked. They'll take manhole covers that say City of Hammond. It doesn't matter, they'll take anything. So we've been watching those also. If we see one of our residents or someone that we know is involved in thefts at that scrapyard, then we can start looking at that also.
You know the shocking thing about, we were talking about the theft of the sewage caps. And, hey Scotty, the manhole covers. Scotty, could you grab the microphone? Hammond Sanitary District Sewage Department. Scotty, manhole thefts, we were talking about this the other day, and you said something that struck me. First off, this is a pretty common problem, right?
It can be pretty much a problem, and the only problem is it's kind of hard to catch them. But we did have a break at one of the scrap yards who are cooperating, and I'm not going to go any further than that. And we have a lead on one of the thugs, so we're taking their covers, and we're going to...
First off, those covers weigh how much, Scotty?
Covers can weigh anywhere between 80 pounds to 130 pounds to 140 pounds.
So you need 2 people to get this off, right?
Not all the time. You can take one of the 80 pounders and 100 pounders and do it.
Maybe you could. I don't think I could.
When they take them in to the scrapyard, they're getting $2 to $3 for that cover.
Isn't that incredible? These people are stealing the manhole cover. They get $2 to $3.
$2 to $3.
And it's a 20, 30 foot fall if somebody falls in it?
I'm about to get to that. For us taxpayers, I'm a taxpayer too, it will cost us taxpayers approximately $80 to $150 of our taxpayer money to replace that cover. and they're getting $2 for the cover.
Why don't we
Therefore,
just give
it's
them
always
20
important.
bucks for it and say it's under 30?
Therefore, it is always important, if you see somebody messing around, one of our covers, one of the drain grates or little square grates, please call 911 as soon as you see somebody. If it's one of our guys, well, they'll check us out, we'll be okay. If it's one of the hired contractors in the city, they'll be checked out, be okay.
But if it's one of our guys, you're gonna see it in the sanitary district truck
Right,
close by, right?
exactly. And this one suspect, I'm gonna leave it at that, had a car, and they picked him up, threw him in the trunk of the car, is what you're trying to do on that. So we need your help.
We have such a problem with scrap metal thefts. We actually have thieves that are going up to houses that have the older aluminum siding on them, and they're actually ripping the siding off the house while the people are sleeping. Now, I can imagine, your reaction, but I know what my reaction would be if I came outside and found someone stealing the siding from my house.
And then
you go from theft to a murder just like that.
But you can carry a gun. And then to go back to what the mayor touched, let me tell you something. Our sewers are large and deep. You get a kid walking down the street and the unfortunate thing happens, and they fall into a sewer, go down 20, 30, 40 feet, go into a main bigger than I am. The outcome's not going to be so good. And also cars drive over, hit them, do damage to cars. Motorcyclists hit them and flip, and then you got a motorcycle wreck and a biker hurt. So the biggest reason why we want to catch these thugs is to help stop any type of injury.
Scott, you just said something. I think that should be the motto of the Hammond Sanitary District. Our sewers are wide and deep. I like it. I'm like a marketing guy. I think you can work with this.
Sounds good.
Anyway, yes, sir.
Couldn't those covers be tack
We got a question in the back, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. You, yeah.
Still on that burglary. The second part of the question is what to expect from your officers when they approach burglary in progress.
Okay, I don't understand the question.
Well, I actually have a report here with exactly how it went down. Your officer pulled up to the building with the burglar's car still in front. My neighbor told him that's their car right there. They're still in the building. In our apartment specifically. When the cop walked in the building, saw the guy in my apartment, slammed the door in the cop's face. Instead of going in there after him, he knocked on the neighbor's door. Then he went back in our apartment. Guy had already gone out the back door. Still a guy upstairs. And our apartment has a front door, back door. Upstairs, you can go either way. So he goes upstairs, guy runs out, must go back through my apartment, runs out the back door also. They have two cars, car in the back. Second cop comes, sits in my apartment with the first cop, and the whole time there's still a guy upstairs. He runs down the back, gets in the car in the back, they pull around, drop the guy off, he gets in the car, which your squad would park behind, and they take off. The whole time my neighbor's telling him that's their car right there, the guy's running to the car, they just took off in the car, the cops are just sitting in our apartment.
Something doesn't sound right about that. If you come see me afterwards, I'll be more than glad to look into it. I mean, I'll have an answer for you.
We'd already filed a complaint.
Okay. You know what? I got it this morning on my desk, and I know which one you're talking about. I'll be more than glad to go over it with you. No problem.
Thanks, guys. Any other questions? All right, next question, Donna.
Okay, Chief. Please give a truthful answer.
You're always lying, Chief.
Always.
Why is the city police, state troopers, and sheriff's police at Walgreens? Why are they not law officers on the street upholding the law, not at businesses that are reserved for private security companies?
Okay, what that is, that's our police officers aren't on duty, and the state police officers and the county officers aren't on duty when they're working at Walgreens. That's off-duty employment. That's outside the regular police hours, and Walgreens actually hires them, just like Walmart, and there's a couple other corporations that hire it. Is it a good idea? Yes, absolutely. We have a detail that works at Walmart, and you can imagine with the number of people that we get at Walmart, how many shoplifting incidents we have, car damage, things like that, and they handle all that for us, so our regular patrol officers don't have to go to Walmart. So it is a good thing to have. I have no problem whatsoever allowing my police officers to work off duty in Walgreens. I think it's a good thing. It's good for business, good for the city.
Thanks for telling the truth, Chief.
It's not hard to lie about that one.
Is Mr. Mike DeHennis?
Oh, we have a question over here. Is it on the same? Is this a new question, Donna, or?
The Walgreens.
Walgreens question. Yeah, go ahead.
And the security. I went there one night after work about 9:30.
Long range on Kennedy?
No, on 173rd and Calumet, to get a
Okay.
gallon of milk for my father. And there was a homeless person leaning on the mailbox, and I saw an actual drug deal in the parking lot. They need security.
I think this first question was about the one on Kennedy, or was it about the one on 173rd?
They need security.
Well, they need security at the one on 173rd and Calumet is what you're saying. Thank you. Thank you.
Where was
I know Kennedy usually does have off-duty officers.
It's rough over there.
Right. Yes, sir. Question.
Mr. Mike, not sure what your question is, but it's regarding plates, I think.
165th in New Hampshire. I lived there 35 years ago, and you know, he knows it humps. And I came back because my mom's doing bad, and guess what? It still humps. But they're working around there now. Is there any way that, because New Hampshire is the only one that goes straight through. And you know what I'm talking about, that sewer there. They're in the neighborhood now. Can they fix that?
We'll take a look at it. I know one of the worst humps in Esville was the one that was on 169th by Delaware. Had a hump on there. That was fixed. I think it cost like $8,000 to fix that. But I know Stan's writing it down also. We'll take a look at it.
But they're right in the neighborhood right now. Because they're working
But
at
they
the
have
school.
contracts, and if that wasn't part of the contract, you know, we have to make it part. So
Because I talked to Garcia today, and Garcia told me to go to you. And I
Okay.
told you this earlier that I was going to come see you today.
That's great. That's why we do this. Sir.
Okay, plates. How comes, and that's up to him, how comes you can come from Illinois and a year and a half later, you still got an Illinois plate?
Yeah, it's illegal.
I know it's illegal, but who takes care of that?
We take care of that. If you give us the address, we'll look into it. There are a few exceptions. If they are a full-time student at a university or school in Indiana, they can, their
Because
parents.
the lady next door to me, the plate in Illinois is not even illegal. Because it expired March of this year.
Sir, if you give me the address, I'll be glad to take care of it.
And I want to point out that the Hammond Police Department every year goes to every school twice, every school. You know, the elementary, middle, and high, and every apartment building twice, right?
Yes.
Every year.
And
I mean, and we find hundreds, and we find them thousands, and yet the next year when we do it, we still have people doing it. And I have a feeling this is one of those issues that 20 years from now, whoever the mayor of Hammond is, there's going to be a gentleman in the front row saying, Mayor, my next door neighbor has these Illinois plates. I think it's just one of those constant problems that we're going to have because we're so close, and the disparity between what they charge for plates and what we charge for plates is so great. So people are always going to try to take advantage. But I promise you that the Hammond Police Department is vigilant in that. We work as hard as we can. Code enforcement also works on that, on the residential areas.
That's why I needed Kelly here tonight, because I want to see Kelly too.
Yes, sir.
Because
Kelly's boss is here, that's Jim.
all the trees in the neighborhood, my mom, 2 years ago, had to have her sewer done because of the tree over here and the tree over there, because of the roots. You know, what they do, they eat that sewer away, and she has to pay, so I called Kelly. And you know what he told me? There ain't a code for that. Why should my mom have to pay for that? And right now, there are molds on my hand because of the way we have to live. She's got to get a new roof. We don't even have a tree. But guess what? The roof gate, she just had it done 5 years ago. The roof's gone. And guess what did it? The trees, you know, around us, you know, and he told us, because I went there and talked to him, because I knew him from Woodmar Baseball. And you know what he told me? They don't have no rules. But she's got to have a new roof now.
Yeah.
Johnny, do you have another police question?
Sir, I do, but unfortunately I can't read it. Is Isaac here?
Oh, Isaac. He was here earlier. Isaac, you here? He was hitchhiking.
I don't want to be accused of pushing it aside, but...
Can you give it to me? It's probably got his phone number and I'll give him a call.
Why don't we have Chief Miller stop by and talk to him after?
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Healthcare crisis? Healthcare problems? Only if you tell the truth. Other questions? Want me to see the show, Tim, or what?
Oh, yeah.
I would just like to thank the police department and the fire department for your service to us. And I
When I took over as mayor, the Hammond Police Department was quote unquote one of my big problems when I took over as mayor. Here we are 7 years later, it's one of our biggest assets. And I tell you, I think that it has a lot to do with the stable leadership we've had over the last 7 years. For the most part, the people we put in charge in the Hammond Police Department, my first year, are still in charge. They're honest, they're residents, they're hardworking. The officers are honest, hardworking, and we all live here and we want what's best, just like you do. So again, thank you to the Hammond Police Department, to Chief Miller, to our firemen, to all of our city employees who work so hard. So thank you, I appreciate it. And your mayor. Done.
Okay, Mayor, you know Ms. King, here's her question. I'm a licensed realtor and have a client that is interested in purchasing the funeral home on 165th. The listing agent is telling us that the city will not allow the property to be sold as a funeral home. The new buyer must convert it to medical offices, etc.
Funeral home on 65th.
Virgil Huber. No.
Virgil Huber.
Is it Virgil Huber? 165th.
You're talking about Kennedy?
I think it's across the street from Worthy's Flores. Right there?
Yes.
Across the street.
Yeah, okay.
165th and Jefferson.
65th and Calumet.
65th and Calumet. Thank you.
65th and Calumet.
Brian? There you go.
Donna, where was it at again?
65th Calumet.
Around there. It's on 165th.
Jefferson.
Right off Calumet.
Jefferson? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We've named every funeral home in Hammond.
I don't know specifically what the situation is, but.
Carla, could you explain it, Ms. King?
That's basically it. I have a client that wants to purchase the property, and we've talked to the listing agent several times, and they've indicated that according to the city or whatever, if she purchases, she cannot revert it to, keep it as a funeral home.
Is that the one across the street from Kenny Mays?
No.
You're getting close. Around the corner.
Just because they use Kenny Mays doesn't mean I go there, right? I just want to point that out. As soon as I say Kenny Mays, everybody's like, oh. Colera. Yeah. By the currency. Yeah. Okay.
Mayor, basically, I believe the situation is that the property is zoned R1U, which is a residential zoning, and the funeral homes are not allowed in there. The fact that that funeral home has been vacant for more than 1 year, it's lost its grandfathering clause, so it's not allowed under its current zoning classification. As to how we would handle it, I think we have to look at that a little bit more carefully.
We'd have to go through the whole process.
Yeah, we have to go through either, look at possibly rezoning it, but I would really question it because there really isn't any parking there, and it's all those houses are really close to it, so it might be questionable whether we're allowed to go back to a funeral home.
Okay. So is this the one right by Army Navy? Old Army Navy? Yeah.
It's pretty closer to Calumet.
Okay. All right.
Behind the currency exchange.
Behind the currency exchange, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, there's actually a church across the street.
So, Ms. King, it sounds like if we're going to go forward on this, it's going to have to go through the whole process because it's been empty for greater than a year. That's what I'm hearing. Any other questions? Okay.
Yes, one more from Ms. King. When homes are demolished, are they fumigated for rodents? Residents in the East Hammond area have been inundated with mice after demolitions in the neighborhood.
Mr. Callahan? When you're demolishing homes, do we fumigate them for rodents?
To be honest with you, we really haven't had a property yet that I'm aware of where we've had roaches or fleas that would have required an exterminator out there.
She's concerned about mice.
No, no, we do not. The demolition, when we did a demolition, we don't have any clause in there that would require a contractor to bid on trapping or killing mice or fleas or whatever before they knock the property down. If the property, actually we do have one right now that is infested with fleas. And if we have to knock this down, it will be cleaned up, exterminated, all the fleas will be killed before they knock down the property. But for mice, no. We have had vacant properties where there have been squirrels or raccoons in a house. We will actually have a professional company come out, trap them, test them for rabies, and the rabies, they kill them. If they're not, they release them out in the wild. But for mice, no, we have nothing.
Good, thank you, Jim. Any other questions about mice? All right, thank you.
Coming up to our last written question.
Okay.
Hi, Mayor.
Hey, Mayor.
I don't want to hide behind a nickname. You know it's MX. And the reason why I
Call you Barry.
now you call me that. The reason why I stand is because I went to 8 years of Catholic school. Sister Marietta would probably be proud right now up in heaven. And what I want to say is the Gibson Janet Alley is a double alley. It is the cleanest alley in Hessville, probably in Hammond. And I want to thank the people that helped out. I want to thank Rich, who cuts the grass from the Parks Department. I don't know his last name. I want to thank Gloria and Danielle. Gloria took Danielle's place. Done a good job there. And I want to thank Gary Gleason. His crew does a good job. Chico Hinojosa gave me some signs and lights, no parking signs in the grass, in the double alley part, because it's considered a park. I want to thank Chief Brian Miller. He gave me one no parking sign and 2 children, who's it, play signs? And I want to especially thank Officer Holbrook. And we've got the cleanest alley, there's no doubt. I want to ask another question. The fire department's been over my house a couple times with the ambulance. They've done a great job. Here's the question I want to ask. I want to know if I can sign something. I do not want to be taken to St. Catherine's Hospital. Is there anything I can sign? Because I live by myself. If you find me on the street, or you find me in my backyard or front yard, I don't want to be taken there. Who would I have to talk to?
I've been here 8 years, Barry. I've never heard a question like that. And I thought I've heard them all, by the way. So,
Well, you know, Mayor, can
yes,
I
sir.
say something?
Yes, sir.
Before I talk, the statement I made, I've got the facts to back it up. I don't go running the mouth unless I got the facts. It'd take a while, and I don't want to explain it. But I don't want to wake up there. And you know I've got a lot of broken bones. Been in the emergency 5 times, been in the hospital 8 times. I got over 31 broken bones. I don't want to be taken there. They probably won't let me wake up again. What do I got to sign?
Thanks, Barry.
Appreciate it.
Wear a bracelet.
I got a bracelet right here.
All right.
So I take it by your clean alley that you live off of Kennedy on Janet Place or Gibson?
Right.
Our protocol is, our SOP is, we have to take you to the closest facility.
Okay, then, is there something
Where
I
you
can
live
sign?
is close, St. Catherine's is, it's probably within a half a mile or a mile, but we have to take you to Catherine's. If you give me your address later, I could talk to our EMS coordinator, because I guess the ambulance you probably get most of the time is one on 165th in Kansas. Out of Station 8.
Yeah.
I could talk to the EMS coordinator, and if you absolutely refuse them, the thing is we go out farther than we have to. If there was really something wrong, the farther we go, we need to get you to the hospital as quick as we can. If you called us if you call 911, it's an emergency. We go with lights and sirens. We have to get you to the hospital as quick as you can, as fast as we can. Give me your address when we're done here, and I'll talk to our EMS coordinator about it tomorrow.
I'm not trying to be a funny guy.
No, I
but
understand.
If you're going to take me to St. Catherine's Hospital, let me know.
Well, we won't do that, but give me your address when we get done, and I'll talk to my coordinator tomorrow.
Thank you, Barry. We don't want to lose you, Barry. I mean, that alley will look like crap if we lose you. So, thank you, sir. It is. No, I tell you, it's a beautiful alley. We walked through it in the primary. So you guys do a wonderful job there. We appreciate it. We're not making light. Maybe there's something we can do on your address so that they pull up your address. There's some type of footnote, I don't know, but we'll look into it, okay, Perry? Thank you. Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
responsible for bringing the clinic to Hessville? The new St. Catherine's Clinic?
We are I've had conversations with this. We're not directly responsible for it, but there is talk. What's the latest status on that? Beth? Beth Jacobson's the head of economic development.
Yeah, I received a phone call from somebody not too long ago that they were looking to move in soon to, actually just around this area. And we'll have a meeting scheduled with them to get more information soon. I'm sorry, I don't have more for you right now, but they're kind of in the beginning stages, and so are we with finding out where they're at. So, you know, if you want to give me your phone number, I can follow up with you.
I was just going to tell them congratulations and thank you for bringing the clinic to Hessville. It's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to meet with them soon and find out exactly what their plans are, and you know, we can certainly let you know if you'd like.
Are they supposed to open in a couple months?
There's-
It said opening in fall.
There's a couple of these types of community health centers being discussed right now. One in Hessville would be very close to Morton High School. The other one in East Hammond, which would be very close to Hammond High School. Two similar concepts. Sort of a full service clinic to serve those basically that aren't sick enough to go to the emergency room, but still sick enough to see a doctor. Okay, so basically what they're trying to do is relieve congestion at St. Margaret's ER. You know, people go in there with sniffles when they should be going to see a doctor. These types of facilities charge you a reasonable rate, maybe like $30 to see a doctor. They get you in and out. Tom and I went and visited one at Calumet High School. Literally, the clinic is inside the high school, and they've proven that it's increased attendance dramatically at the high school. The community uses it. It's open when the high school is not open. For all intents and purposes, it's like a hospital. It's like a medical clinic, operating right out of the parking lot of the high school. There's discussion about this happening in Hessville, the thing you're bringing up, ma'am, and there's a discussion in East Hammond with something similar. Both of them seem pretty serious.
Well, they're building it already.
Yeah.
It's going in right behind Long John Silver.
Right, go ahead, Mom.
And
They're going to be leasing an existing building from somebody, and yeah, they may have to make a couple upgrades to the building in the process.
The whole thing got it. They're in there working on it now.
Good.
And I think it's wonderful
It
for
is.
the city of Hammond.
I have a feeling that you're going to start to see this in the future, these smaller type of clinics. Instead of having the big hospitals, they're going to be looking at smaller types of clinics in multiple locations through the city. Seems like that's the way healthcare is heading, and we have two ideas like this moving forward. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a real quick question. In June, NIPSCO and the water department and everybody came and put flags all over on Kentucky Avenue, 6600 block, because you're going to put those fancy lights up. But all the neighbors, we've all taken our flags down because we have to cut our grass. Exactly when are you going to put
6600 block
Kentucky?
Yeah, that was to locate underground facilities, so they probably had the little flags, and they also have paint markings on the grass. Yeah, that's normal. Anytime they have a project, because they're gonna be boring underground to run the conduit for the ornamental lights.
But we all took our flags down. We have to cut our grass. When are you going to put the lights up?
Well, it's under. They should be up before Halloween. So they've already been out there measuring and everything, and everything's ready to go on it. The thing's been bid already. I don't know what the date of the bid was. It was bid on April 21st.
Okay, thanks for the question, man. I wanted to point out at the Pavilion in Wolf Lake, if you haven't, I know in Hessville sometimes people don't leave Hessville, which is a funny thing about Hammond. You go to Robertsdale and people in Robertsdale don't get down to Hessville, and people in Hessville don't get out to Robertsdale. We try to encourage people to go around the city, be in the city of Hammond. We have a brand new pavilion in Wolf Lake. I don't know how many people have had an opportunity to see this beautiful addition to our city. We've been doing regular shows. We had the symphony playing out there. Of course, the Festival of Lakes is out there. On September 11th, we have a memorial service to the firemen and the police officers and all the people that lost their lives on September 11th, 10 years ago. So if you would mark this on your calendar, September 11th memorial service at 1:30 p.m. at the Pavilion at Wolf Lake, 2324 Calumet Avenue. and the Robertsdale section of Hammond. If you haven't had a chance to see the pavilion, it's a good opportunity to do so, and at the same time, it's good to get together and remember all those that perished 10 years ago. So I just wanted to put that on your radar. That is going to happen on Sunday, September 11th. All right? Any more questions, Anna?
No, sir, we're complete.
Robertsdale, or excuse me, Robertsdale. All right, Robertsdale on my mind. Hessville, thank you very much. Councilman Hinojosa, thank you for hosting. I want to remind everybody that we do this every month. I also have a radio show every Friday on WJLB, Friday at 7:30 a.m. Next Mayor's Night Out, Wednesday, September 28th, 4th District, St. John Bosco. See you guys next month.